or even results as having its own inherent value. And that is absolutely impossible. Nothing has any inherent value other than what we project onto it. So think about stocks or gold or any of these things. As soon as we stop projecting the value onto it, there is no value to it.
Maybe tangibly you don't have your outcome.
You're gonna have to turn that off. That's gonna.
My apologies.
That's gonna. I can't hear myself 2 or 3 seconds after.
Yeah.
It's just too much.
You don't necessarily want the.
So nothing has inherent value, and that's why we see the value of things fluctuate. If we walk into a room, and there's an object in the middle of the room, and we don't even know what it is, but everyone in the room is ogling it and wanting it, and everybody's talking about how much they want it. You're going to start to want that thing too, just because there's a social value there, so you're going to want that. You won't even know what it is, but you're going to want it. We see this in trends. We see this in fads. So if value can fluctuate, there's no way that anything can have inherent value. It's whatever the value is that we're projecting onto it. So think about anything that you want, any object, any result that you want, you're projecting value onto it. And that thing in itself, by itself, without your projection, has zero value. It can't have any value. So you're projecting value onto the object. You're wanting to have an experience. So what kind of experience might you want to have by having a nice car? Well, it could be status. If you're outwardly focused and you want other people to notice you. It could just be that you want to feel safe in a safe car. So it could be safety. Maybe you really just enjoy and value luxury. So you want to experience luxury. And I'm not judging any of these things. I'm just putting it out there. All of these things can be experienced in a healthy way, a healthy and balanced way. So just remember this now. Any result that you want, the result of learning NLP, the result of whatever you believe you're going to get watching this video, the result of having a great relationship with your spouse, having a better relationship with your kids, any of that, remember that the result or the object has no inherent value. It's the experience that you want, and you're projecting that. So if you're projecting that, this is where it gets really interesting. If you're projecting that, what does that mean? I'm going to pause for a few moments because I really want you to think about that. If you're able to project this value onto this object, the value of whatever experience is that you want to create or you want to fulfill within yourself, what does that mean about you? That means you already have it. Okay. Now,
we actually have a few questions in the live chat, if you're curious.
All right, let's take a few questions.
All right, so Riza Balsi, I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. He or she wants to learn conversational hypnosis and how that ties in.
Okay. I do cover that in my practitioner training. That is, that's a big, there's no way I can cover that in 1 hour. Let me put it that way.
Do you have a video that they could look up?
I don't think I have anything on YouTube or Facebook. Like I said, it's covered. That takes about 3 days to cover. Okay, I mean 3 full days, not 1 hour a day for 3 days. So that's not going to be covered here. It's a little too big. So this is broad overview. Any other questions?
Just a comment that it's lagging.
What's lagging?
The YouTube live stream.
Oh, I apologize. Technology, that can happen. Okay, so if you're able to project this, it means you already have it. Now you could say, well, I don't already have status. How do I know that? Well, if you took a moment to do that, you would start to feel important because you have to access that feeling. So if you leave it up to other people to make you feel important, you're not free. other people control.
We're Rhett and Link, and we wanted to show you how we created our amazing new website with Wix.
Now, we know that having a great website is crucial because when we look good online, our brand just feels good.
Yeah, everyone's in.
Check out all these templates. There are hundreds
So,
of
And they're actually fully designed
You got to distinguish
websites.
between what's external and what's
this
internal.
one.
You
It's
have
all
control
drag and
over
drop,
what's
and you can
internal.
change
have control over
anything you want.
You don't have control over other people.
Okay, now let's
necessarily.
change-
Now you can influence other people. Like
Templates, there are
questions.
hundreds of-
And they're actually fully
You
designed
gotta distinguish
websites.
between what's external and
This
internal.
one.
You
It's
have
all
control
drag
over
and drop,
control
and you can
from
change anything you want.
You don't have control over
Okay, now let's change-
Influence other people.
Templates, there are hundreds of-
And they're actually fully designed websites.
This one. It's all drag and drop, and you can change anything you want.
Okay, now let's change.
It's about accessing the resources.
There are hundreds of- and they're actually fully designed websites.
Now,
This one.
we
It's all
often think
drag
that
and
it's
drop, and you can change anything you want.
Okay, now let's change.
And you might be saying,
There
well,
are hundreds of- and they're actually fully designed websites.
This one. It's all drag and drop, and you can change anything you want.
Okay, now let's change. There are hundreds of- and they're actually fully designed websites.
Fascinating thing because I've coached a lot of people, and I went through this myself. You get to a point when you do NLP enough, or it's not just NLP, but enough personal development, when you start to be able to realize that there are things that you want and value, and there are things that other people want and value in your society, in your culture, could be your family. You know, they might have valued becoming a doctor, and you went through med school, only to realize you don't like medicine. You don't like practicing medicine. When you do all of that, only and it's not something you value. It's not something that you want. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that it wasn't yours. It wasn't something you wanted. So that's one thing you might realize, and that's a wonderful thing to know, because one of the worst things that can happen for you is to spend half your life chasing something that you never really wanted to begin with. You will spend a lot of miserable years, a lot of stress, and probably a lot of money, and you won't come out ahead. But it might have been something someone else wanted for you. So knowing what you really want and what other people want for you is very important. And sometimes those two line up. And that's wonderful that happens. And sometimes it doesn't hurt you to have something or create something that someone else wants. Maybe that works out for you. So I'm not saying you shouldn't. It's just important to know. So maybe you don't want a car. Maybe though you realize I do want a car, but I don't need a car to feel important. But if I can feel important without the car, I'm sure some of you, most of you have had this experience. When you stop being desperate or you stop being in scarcity, meaning you feel fulfilled, you're connected with your values, suddenly the thing that you've been wanting, as soon as you stop chasing it, it suddenly appears. And this is one of the ways that NLP works. How do I feel fulfilled now, instead of in a state of desire where I'm withholding from myself fulfillment and projecting it onto something else? How do I recognize this unconscious process, because it is unconscious for most people, and then say, okay, well, I can feel that at will. If I'm projecting this value, whether it be importance, safety, luxury, love, any of those things, I can feel that when I want to. This is part of my inner game. I can feel this way whenever I want to, and it's not dependent on outside circumstances, and it's not dependent on other people. But what happens when I can walk around and have that kind of control over me and over my state? Well, if you don't already know, you become a lot more successful. And I say success, not being judged by how much money you make or what other people judge success by how you judge success. You become much more happy, much more fulfilled, because you're not a slave to the circumstances around you. You're not waiting for other people's approval. You're not waiting until you have X, Y, Z to feel important, feel good about yourself, to feel loved. You learn how to, once you learn what you're projecting, you can just give it back to you. So how do we, okay, so if you were standing next to me right now, and you were to tell me, Damon, I want to learn NLP, I said, great, because I think NLP can help most people. And I would ask you, well, what will learning NLP do for you? And you told me, well, it'll make me more persuasive and influential. Again, great. What will that do for you? And then you'll say, I'll do more sales. Great. What does more sales do for you? What's important about more sales? I'll make more money. What's important about making more money? I'll have more security. Awesome. So now we're getting into values. Now we already mentioned, well, safety, security. What does having more security do for you? I will feel more free. And freedom is a very, very high level value. Now, just by me bringing a person through that process, by the time we get to that value, this happens every time I do this, every time I list someone's values, I ask them, how much are you feeling that right now? And they'll often say, I'm feeling it a lot. And then I'll tell them, I didn't make you feel that. I suggested it just by asking questions. I just asked you questions in order for you to know what I'm talking about. In order for you to understand what I'm talking about, you had to access the feeling. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you're in control of this, that you can access this at any time. Am I telling you that you can access fulfillment at any time? Absolutely. I'm absolutely saying that. And when you're feeling fulfilled, does that make you not want things? Does that make you not want to go out there and achieve big things? Quite the opposite. You start realizing that there's potential out there. And it's not about achieving it for other people. It's not about achieving it to make yourself feel good about you. It becomes achieving because you see the possibilities, you see the opportunities, you see a challenge, and you know there's potential there, so you go for it. And you know that as long as you're engaging that potential, that will fulfill you. You see the opportunities, you see a challenge, and you know there's potential there, so you go for it. And you know, revisit this real quickly. What time do we have? That will fulfill you. Time is bypassing everything. Okay, so let's recap on this. You want a result. And for most people, one of these is kind of unconscious or you're neglecting one side of this. So you want a result. You want to learn NLP. Get specific about what it will do for you. And for most people, one of these is kind of unconscious or you're neglecting one side of this. So you want a result. You want to learn NLP. Get specific about what it will do for you. So what's important about whatever. So for the person who asked the question about learning conversational hypnosis, then the question I would ask you is, what's important to you about learning conversational hypnosis? This may be something that he's never explored before. He may have left that completely out of the equation. He just knew that there was a motivation to do that. Okay, well, let's get clear about it and find out what value or values you're trying to fulfill by learning conversational hypnosis, or by learning NLP, or by making more money, getting healthy, whatever it is. Now you need a plan. Okay. So what is the roadmap to getting there? How are you going to go about doing it? Maybe you have no knowledge about the plan, and that's why you left this part out. Maybe that's why you got stuck in the dreamer state, and you just focus on what feels good about if you had it, okay? Maybe you have no knowledge about it. Best way, well, I don't want to say the best way, one of the best ways to do that is to find someone who already has this kind of success that you want, and then find out how they did it. And this is mainly what NLP was based off of. It was based off of modeling. They took 3 therapists who were getting incredible results, who were sort of on the fringes of psychology because they didn't believe in theory that much. They were more about getting results. And Richard Bandler and John Grinder wanted to know how these people were getting these extraordinary results, whereas many people in the field of psychology at the time were very theoretical and they weren't making they weren't getting much results. So they found these therapists and they modeled them. And they stayed out of content and they modeled the structure, language patterns. What were the patterns? Not what were they telling people? What were the language patterns of their speech that influenced their clients? What was the body posture? This is where they discovered anchoring. They saw where they wanted the person to go into a particular state and they would anchor it with a touch or a sound or sometimes both. So they picked up the structure of all these techniques and they thought, okay, now we have the structure. What if we drop this on someone else? What if we teach it to someone else? Can they get the same results? And sure enough, they started getting the same results. So NLP teaches you how to find the structure and extract the structure and not get caught up in content. Content is the story. That's what I mean by content. So if you ask a genius, how did they become a genius? And they might tell you, well, when I was 3 years old, I picked up a book, and then they start going on and on. Well, I can't go back to when I was 3 and pick up a book and then learn how to be a genius. But that's not really how it happened either. There was a structure there, and you can elicit that structure and then apply it to your situation. You can model yourself. Think about something that you've done very well. You are successful at something, and I run into this all the time, and people say, no, I haven't been successful at anything, and that is just not true. I will ask that same person, do you brush your teeth every morning? Sure, I brush my teeth every morning and every night. How are you able to do this successfully for years and years and years? And you might think that sounds pretty silly, but it's not. It's you have a success strategy that you're executing unconsciously, and you're just doing it. And the result is clean teeth, fewer cavities, if any cavities at all, and you're holding on to your teeth into old age. That is success. So look for the small successes if you can't find the big successes. Find something that, whatever result it is that you want, and look at your past successes and extract the strategy, the plan. How did it all happen? Most of the time, when people are successful at something, I don't say most of the time, when it's a small success, a lot of times they don't really know how they executed it. It's unconscious. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just unconscious. And you can dive into there and find out what was the strategy, what was the map, what was the plan, what was step one, what was step two. It often helps to work backwards from the result. Start with the result. What happened right before you got the result? What happened before that? What happened before that? And you can find there's a distinct trail from the result that you got to where you did not have the result. So make a plan. And then connect with your values. This is motivation. If you're lacking in motivation, all that says is you don't have this connected. You don't have a strategy and a plan that you believe in that will get you the results, that will get you the value of the experience that you want. There's some breakdown in this strategy here. There's some in this structure here that's missing. Okay? If you're not feeling motivated, there's something missing here. Something's not connecting. But when you have all three of these and you understand this, you don't even think about motivation. It just happens. It's the same thing with the brushing your teeth. What motivates you to brush your teeth? You don't think about it. You just do it. If you had to think about it, you would say things like, well, I want to keep my teeth. I don't want my teeth to hurt when I go to the dentist and they scrape the plaque off of it. You'll come up with things, but you're not thinking that every single day when you go brush your teeth. You just do it. The motivation is unconscious. It just happens. You know what the value is. You know what the plan is. It's very simple. And you just execute it. You can create other successes, huge successes in your life by doing the exact same thing. I want to add one more thing to this that I haven't mentioned yet. And I maybe have met one or two people in my life who don't have this. So most people do. And you may be one of those people who doesn't have it. And if you don't, I would say you're abnormal, but you're lucky. But that is, and you may be one of those people who doesn't have it. And if you don't, I would say you're abnormal. Your inner critic. So while I've been explaining all this, if you've heard a little voice, and it doesn't even have to be a voice, it could be a feeling that this isn't going to work, that I don't know what I'm talking about, or that, oh, this works for other people, it doesn't work for me, know that that's this thing right here. This isn't going to work. What do you do with your inner critic? When I coach people, most often they will say things like they just want to get rid of it. They want to block it out. They want to, tie it up and throw it in the water, throw it in the ocean, paint a blue, throw it in the ocean with a weight attached to it. Okay. I understand that feeling. You want to move away from what you don't want, and that's normal. Okay. Again, this is going to be a bit counterintuitive. And before I get into that, let me also say, if your result is what you don't want, you need to change that right now. What do I mean by that? Whenever I start coaching someone, usually the first thing, always the first thing that I ask them is, what do you want? That's what I started this talk about. You want results. Okay, if somebody comes to me for coaching, it's not because they just want to hear my voice or see my face on a computer screen. They want a result. So I ask them, what do you want? What is the result that you want? And most often, the first answer I get from them is they tell me what they don't want. They say, well, I don't want to feel bad anymore. I don't want to be broke anymore. I don't want to be unhealthy anymore. I don't want to be alone anymore. These are the things that I hear. So then I will say to them, okay, I understand. I know what you don't want. You know what you don't want. What do you want instead? And sometimes I have actually spent a whole coaching session helping pull this out of someone. What is it that they want? Because if we don't know what you want, there's no going anywhere. Imagine getting into a taxi cab in Times Square in New York, and the cab driver says, where do you want to go? And you say, I don't want to go to Central Park. The cab driver's going to say, okay, well, where do you want to go? And then you say, I don't want to go to Penn Station. You're still not going to go anywhere, because you don't have a target, you don't have a result, you don't have a place, you don't have a destination. So you need to know what it is you want. It's okay to know what you don't want, but you need to be focusing on what you do want. You're still not going to go anywhere. So if your inner critic popped up and said, this isn't going to work, or this isn't going to work for you, on and on and on. It's okay to know what you don't want, but you need to be focusing. Stop for a moment. Listen to your inner critic. Understand that your inner critic has a positive intent. That's what might be counterintuitive for you. What do I mean by positive intent? Well, the result might not be positive because your inner critic might make you feel bad. It might sabotage you. It might get in your way. It might throw off your flow. But if you go back far enough, this inner critic has a positive intent. Most of the time, it's to protect you. And that's normal. And that's actually a good thing, right? But your inner critic hasn't been invited to the party. So it's interrupting, and it's basically saying, that's probably not going to work, this isn't going to work, you shouldn't try that, you might get hurt, you might lose money, on and on and on. You'll be disappointed, that sort of thing. When you discover what your inner critic is positive intent is, now you've opened up the possibility to invite your inner critic into this party and integrate it so that it can help you. A lot of times we isolate our inner critic because we don't want to listen to it. But if we find out what its positive intent is, and we integrate it into our overall plan, the inner critic becomes an ally. Because it's good that if you have some part of you that's looking out for you, it's good for you to have some part of you that wants to protect you. So find out what the positive intent is, which is also a value. Intent is also a value. And then find out how you can integrate that value into this plan. All right. This is the last thing that I'm going to go over. Be, do, and have. If there's anything that you want, so we're back to the result. There's a result that you want, okay? If you have that result, who will you be when you have that result? What will you do? And what will you have? So, depending on what it is you want, all three of these might not apply. But it's really good if you can come up with all three, because this will make it very, very strong. And if you don't know who you will be when you have it, the question then is, who do you have to be in order to have it? So if I want to be a millionaire, okay, well, who do I have to be who I'm not now, but who do I need to be in order to have that $1 million? What do I have to do? What do I have to have? So let's go simple, because this is an NLP video. I want to learn NLP, okay? Who will you be when you learn NLP? Okay, maybe an influencer.
This is an NLP video. I want to learn NLP. Okay.
Maybe you become a great communicator.
NLP. Okay. Maybe an influencer. This is an NLP video. I want to learn NLP.
Maybe you are successful. So you want to write this out. When you learn NLP, who do you become? It doesn't have to be NLP. It could be anything that you want, any result that you want. Okay. So what do I do?
I want to write this out.
What do I do when I learn NLP?
Who do you become?
Communicate better.
NLP. It could be anything that you want, any result that you want.
Okay. So what do I do?
I want to write this out.
What do I do when I learn NLP?
NLP.
Achieve what I want.
Communicate better. NLP. It could be anything that you want, any result that you want. What do I do?
Achieve what I want. Achieve what I want, master my inner game. These are all things that you could do when you learn NLP. What will I have? This could be tangible or intangible. It could be better relationships. These are all things that you could do when you learn NLP.
What will I have? This could be
It
tangible
could
or
be
intangible.
more money.
Better relationships.
So I highly suggest that you fill out something like this for every result that you want. Okay, what time we got?
I highly suggest that you fill out something like this
12:45.
for
Perfect.
every
So
result that you want.
I'm going to answer questions soon. Before I get into the questions, though, back to what I was saying about there is a sales pitch at the end of this. I opened enrollment for my NLP online practitioner program this past Saturday, January 6th. It will be open until January 20th, at which point it will close. The reason I do this is because I take this journey with you. I have live group coaching sessions on Facebook. It's a closed practitioner group. This is your community. You put questions, you can post questions in there, you can post inspirational stories, and you'll get comments not just from me, but from the other people that are part of the community. And you'll get multiple perspectives there as well, and then the coaching sessions. And there are previous coaching sessions that you can access as well. If you sign up this week for the practitioner program, you get a free one-on-one or bonus one-on-one coaching session with me. I want to make sure that you really get this down, that you implement NLP in your life. It is a practice. It's not a sprint. It is a marathon. This is a huge NLP practitioner training. What has happened today in NLP is many institutes have shortened their programs down to 1 week. Even 2 weeks, I don't think is enough to learn NLP. So I did something really bold. I did something that many NLP trainers told me could not be done. And what I did was I held a live 24-day practitioner training, an NLP practitioner training. That's just not done anymore. I have looked around and I have not found a single institute that has done something like that for the last decade. But I knew for me to be motivated to do it, that's what I really wanted to do, because I knew when I took my first practitioner training that I did not really know NLP. I really didn't feel like the training was able to give me the whole story on NLP, or even close to the whole story. So I started asking questions, and trainers started opening up to me and telling me that, yeah, basically, back in the early days of NLP, trainings were a month long. And to be marketable, they had to shrink the trainings, even though the technology has grown. So you're talking more technology and a shorter time to learn it, which means that you really don't learn it as you should learn it after coming through a practitioner training. So I held a 24-day practitioner training, small group of people. We pulled it off. I created an online training around that training. And a lot of the parts of NLP that have been removed, and most practitioner trainings, I put back in. So, I'm not saying that I have the final word on NLP through this training. NLP is a fluid thing that is always growing and is always growing in you. And so it is a very complete training, I'll put it that way. And you will have my help in doing that training. I will go with you, and that's why I close enrollment. I don't want it to be something that where people are just coming in randomly at different times. So we all start together, and we go through this together, and then there are people who have already taken it, so they chime in on the Facebook group as well. What else did I want to say about that? Okay, so the clock will start at 1 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. If you sign up within the first hour, I will give you an additional sensory acuity and calibration training. If you've been to my website, nlp-gym.com, there is a free 30-day sensory acuity training that you can take advantage of. I highly recommend that you do. I'll talk more about that tomorrow, why that is so important, but it is the foundation. If you don't have those skills, which a lot of NLP students will bypass and overlook, if you don't have those skills, you're not going to be able to make all the other parts of NLP work, at least not predictably. So what I'll do is you'll get a free, there's an expanded training on sensory acuity and calibration. I'll throw that in for free. If you've already signed up for this program and you're thinking, wait a minute, I didn't get that for free and I already signed up a few days ago, shoot me an email, I'll give it to you as well. So it's a free expanded sensory acuity and calibration training for signing up within the first hour, or from starting at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time right after this video. So take advantage of that. If you're thinking about signing up, that's a little more inspiration for you to do that. And I was thinking, there was, when I was a kid, I remember watching my cousins and my brother playing tug-of-war at, it was a church function that I was at, and I was probably like, 5 or 6 years old. And my mother said, hey, why don't you go play tug-of-war? And it did look fun, and I did want to do it. And I said, I'll do it later. And then later, there was no later. They stopped playing tug-of-war. And I came out, and I was like, hey, I want to play, and it was too late. All the kids had scattered. And I remember, this is such a weird memory to remember, but I know why I remember it, because that moment I realized what lost opportunity meant, what lost opportunity was. And I never forgot that. And ever since then, I don't want to say I live in fear, but that is one of my fears, that I will miss an opportunity and that I can't go back and take advantage of, and that I will regret it. When I was in college and I wanted to learn NLP, there absolutely was just no way for me to learn NLP. There were no institutes. I didn't have any money. And what I mean, I didn't have any money. Like, I really didn't have any money. My parents would have taken me in if I didn't have food and shelter, but they were not going to fly me to another state like California for me to and pay thousands of dollars for me to learn NLP. It just wasn't going to happen. So I had to wait 12 years, and the first opportunity that I had, and I didn't even really have the money. I'm not ashamed to say I put it on a credit card, but I did pay it off. That's why I'm not ashamed to say it. And as soon as I started taking that practitioner program, my life changed, and I can only imagine had I been able to do that in college, how different my life would have been at that point. I was 34 when I took my first NLP training. And, I'm not going to look back at it and worry about it or anything, but I would, just to think that I could have done that so early on and how different my life would have been had I done that. But anyway, the past is the past. The first opportunity that came around, I took it. And I have made the most of it ever since, and life has been, it's opened doors both internally and externally that I never could imagine. So what this program does is it enables you to learn NLP without having to fly to a different destination, without having to take out the time out of work. You can learn it from home, from your computer, from your phone, and it's less than a third of the price that I paid to take my first practitioner training. And there was no ongoing coaching at any of these institutes that I took any of my trainings at. So I know how powerful NLP is, I know what it's done for me, and I want to share it with all of you. And that's part of my calling in doing all this. Thank you for attending this live video. I'm going to go ahead and take some questions now. So fire away.
That's part of my calling in doing this.
Thank you for attending this live video. Should we open this one up and take some questions now? So fire away.
I mean, I can see all comments.
Thank you for attending this live video. We open this one up and take some questions now.
You had some compliments throughout the video. I mean, I can see all comments.
All right, we'll take compliments too. I'm not going to turn those away. You got YouTube up there. So. We'll take compliments too. I'm not going to turn those away. You got YouTube up there. So. We'll take compliments too. I'm not going to turn those away. You got YouTube up there. Yeah. So, let's see if there's any questions there.
So, somebody asked how I can play in the gym.
Play in the gym?
Yeah, the virtual gym.
Play in the virtual gym. Well, we have the Facebook group that's a closed group, and when you sign up for the program, you get instant access to the Facebook group, which is a community of NLPers just like you, who are learning, and I'm also doing the live group coaching calls. And as I mentioned, if you sign up this week, you get a free bonus one-on-one session. So as far as playing in the gym, that's what I'm offering right now. And you can post questions at any time. You don't have to wait until I'm doing a live group coaching call, which I do about twice a month. You can post questions anytime. I might not answer right away, but I will get to it. And then the great thing is that you have other NLPers who are learning at the same time who can offer a perspective. And there's no one right perspective. The best thing to do is to have exposure to as many perspectives as you can. That's how you cultivate wisdom. So my perspective is not the only perspective or the right perspective. Get perspective from as many NLPers as you can.
My perspective is not the only perspective or the right perspective.
Okay. Great question. How long did it take for me to get NLP and start understanding it? So maybe I'll give you like two answers. So the first one is when the first practitioner course I took was actually a pretty long course compared to most of the practitioner courses. It was 2.5 weeks long. It was put on by Robert Dilts and Judith Aloja, two amazing NLPers who have been around since NLP was created. But after that training, I knew that NLP was not so much in the lectures that I had seen, it was more in the practice. And they unfortunately didn't set me up too well, or didn't set up the students too well to how to practice. These are people who learned it 40 years ago. They don't quite remember how they learned it. They just teach the concepts. They don't teach how they learned it. So immediately, what I'd like to say is right after my first NLP training, I went into NLP withdrawal. I wanted to get back into another NLP training, and because I love this. I mean, it's so fit with everything that I was looking for. So I found another NLP institute, and I jumped into their practitioner program. And it was interesting getting NLP from a different perspective. A lot of the same concepts were taught, but I was getting it from a different teacher. And then after that, that same institute held a hypnosis training. And hypnosis really unlocked a lot of NLP for me. And a lot of the understandings, I understood where it came from. Because a lot of NLP, about a third of NLP, maybe more, is modeled from hypnosis. They modeled Milton Erickson, the father of modern hypnosis. And that's where NLP became more of the sort of conversational hypnosis and waking hypnosis are known for that. And by that time, the first institute that I started at was then holding their master practitioner course that summer. Now, I'm going to back up a little bit here too. While all that was going on, from the time that I started my formal training, I had an NLP practice group. I had started the practice group before I had any formal training because I was trying to learn from books, and it's absolutely impossible to just learn from books. So I started a practice group. After the practitioner training, I found a practice partner. I practiced with my practice partner once a week, and I practiced with the practice group once a week as well. And I took my manual and started page 1 and went through my manual, reading every word and practicing every exercise on myself and on my practice partner and in my practice group. And I went through that manual 3 times before I got to the Master Practitioner course. Both my practice partner and I go into the Master Practitioner course, and there's a lot of the same faces from the year before who were at the Practitioner course. And within a day or two, people were coming up to us and they were saying, "What did you do? Why are you and Logan so much better than we are?" And I was just like, "We are?" And they were like, "Yeah, you know what you're doing. You're able to put people through these processes and these changes. What are you doing?" And I looked at Logan and we were like, "We practiced," and that was it. There was no secret to it. We just practiced. So after that first year, I didn't know it, but I had actually gotten to know NLP much better. I could use it. I could use it effectively. I could use it effectively on myself, and I could use it effectively with other people. I could use it effectively with other people without them realizing it. So I would say within a year, I really had a grasp and an understanding of it. Now, jump forward a few more years, and I had done multiple practitioner trainings. I had done multiple master practitioner trainings. I had resource coached different trainings. I had done the trainer training, and I felt like I really hit a plateau. I wasn't advancing. I knew there was more to understand, but I wasn't getting it. And I was going to all my teachers and saying, I don't know what's going on, but I don't seem to be advancing. Help me out here. And I kept getting back the same answer. Well, we don't know either. Just keep doing what you're doing. But I was really frustrated because what I was doing wasn't working. And then by a chance encounter, I got introduced to Steve Andreas. If you don't know who Steve Andreas is, him and his wife, Connie Ray, wrote the first readable books of NLP. The first few NLP books, if you try reading them, they read like textbook manuals. They're very hard to read. They're very hard to implement. Steve and Connie Ray came around a few years after NLP was created. They started writing books on it, and their work is absolutely amazing. And Steve Andreas started mentoring me. And all of the material that I've based the practitioner training off of is their practitioner training, because to me, they have the most complete practitioner training, the most detailed, the most chunked down. It's just the best material that I have come across. So with Steve Andreas' help, I brought my NLP understanding and skills to a whole new level. And I would say it was around that time, that was almost 3 years ago, that I really felt like I got NLP. And there's always more. There's always more to learn. There's always more to practice. There's always more expansion, more growth, more understanding, more skills. So I have not finished. My journey is not over, and I hope it never is. And that's why I tell people now, like, this is where your journey can begin. So let's do this journey together. Let's see if there's any other questions, any other burning questions people have. This is where your journey can begin. So let's do this journey together. Let's see if there's any other questions, any other burning questions. So there's a very high pitch rasping and can't hear you. Okay, well, we don't hear it over here, so hopefully they got it fixed. There's a very high pitch rasping and can't hear you. Anything else? Any other questions over here? Okay, we don't hear it over here. Over YouTube. Okay, the clock is ticking. If you sign up in the next hour, you get that bonus sensory acuity calibration training, and then also if you sign up by Saturday, you also get a free one-on-one coaching session. And I think that does it for this video. We'll do more tomorrow. Tomorrow will not be a repeat of what I just taught. We'll go into some more NLP training and frames and stuff that you can start implementing. Hopefully you've been taking notes and you've been plugging this stuff in, and I hope it helped you in some way. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Training and frames and stuff that you can start implementing. Hopefully you've been taking notes and you've been plugging this stuff in, and I hope it helped you in some way. Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Training and frames.